Right. Welcome back, or welcome everyone. Today is Monday, February 9th, 2026. It's currently 7:01 p.m. This is a regular meeting of the City of Philomath City Council. As a reminder, we recessed our work session and we'll return to it after our regular meeting. So I'm going to call this regular meeting to order, and we start with a roll call.
Sandra, present. Dan Crocker,
Here.
Spencer Irwin,
Present.
Teresa Nielsen,
Here.
Richard Salsa,
Present.
Christopher.
Present. Thank you. And on tonight's agenda, it's a relatively light agenda. We will start with a public hearing on building permit fees, followed by public comments, then the approval of our minutes. For our new business, we will appoint our budget officer for the upcoming fiscal year, and then finish up some appointments to the Park Advisory Board and the Inclusivity Committee, after which we will take a look at the resolution proclaiming Black History Month. And then we'll finish up with our reports of our various folks. So to start things off, we have the building permit fees in your packet on page 1. And this is outlined in there, but yes. And so I hope you all memorize these. But as a reminder, since we work with Benton County for building permits, our intergovernmental agreement just says that we adopt whatever changes they make. So I don't know if there's any questions. We have Jason from Benton County here. If you want to,
I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody may have. Give kind of a brief overview of what has changed and the methodology behind the changes. But does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, we can just do a quick little kind of staff report, then we can open it up to the public for comments. No questions?
The only comment is it makes sense, and it looks like he did a very good job of going through and analyzing where the needs were with inflation factoring in that. So that it all makes sense to me. And I don't ever like increasing.
Thank you. So yes, the report was really clear. It was easy to read and
Thank you.
understand and clearly worded. So thank you.
Yeah, we try to make things uniform and then also bring them in line with the state's guidelines for how building departments are supposed to charge for the fees. So that was the primary goal, was to match the model fee schedule so that the computer software that we use matches up nicely with the way we charge fees. Just makes things more clean, and we try to standardize, for instance, a minimum permit fee for electrical and plumbing used to be different dollar amounts, but we have all the same staff doing those, so they should all be uniform. So across the board, we tried to make everything uniform wherever that was appropriate. And then we tried to analyze each function that we would do for each permit and make sure that the time it took for that function was reflected with that.
I'll just add this as kind of noted in here, but it gets mixed up. All of this got sent to the state already. They've already reviewed it, essentially given it a thumbs up. A report back said everything looks good. So we're solid at the state level and have any concerns about it. I want to make sure I give Jason 99% of the credit for that, because we literally said, we're doing what Benton County did. So what they submitted is what we're submitting. A couple little tweaks on some of our fees that we've got, but otherwise, Jason and his staff do an awesome job. We're very fortunate to have Benton County so close by. They do a great job for us, and by great job, I mean they're literally here in Philomath every day looking at our inspections. So it's great to have them as that resource. They stop in, and when they don't have something, they'll stop in, check with Leilani. We good? Just want to say hi and bug out again. And the great relationship there. Leilani on our staff is over all the building permits at this point, and so she's really running point on that. Ruth Post, the previous city recorder, used to be doing building permits in addition to city recorder, and as we've grown and gotten busier, that expanded to a part-time position, and we've actually added some hours to Leilani's time period as well, so she's got time where she can actually get things off of her desk rather than just piling things on her desk. So she works really hard to keep things going. And the collaboration with Benton County is terrific. Their staff is great. Jason's relatively, how have you been in Benton County?
Only about 8 months.
Yeah, 8 months. I didn't want to overdate you too much, but Jason's come in, he's done a great job representing the county and anyway, great relationship. Again, the work they did on this to get us current and everything's been really, really helpful. So it's one of the areas I don't have to worry a whole lot about the city because I know that it's in good hands and between Jason and Leilani, and Daryl and Lance, things are working. Things are working good. So
We try very hard to provide good service and appreciate that.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to open a public hearing on resolution 2603, a resolution adjusting building, plumbing, mechanical, electrical, and structural permit inspection fees. I don't believe we have anyone in the room to comment. Is there anyone online? Does the council have any discussion or deliberations on resolution 2603? I'll just echo that I appreciate all the work that went into this, and we value our partnership with Benton County in doing this. So thank you very much. All right. With that, I'm going to close the public hearing on resolution 2603, and we can take a vote. Is there a motion?
I move to approve resolution 26-03 adopting building, plumbing, mechanical, electrical, and structural permit inspection fees effective February 10th, 2026.
Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved by Councilor Salsa, seconded by Councilor Andrade to approve resolution 2603. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution 2603 is passed unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, next up, we have public comment, and we received some comment ahead of time, which is in your packet, which I have a sneaking suspicion may be spoken to in some oral comment. So I would encourage you all to flip to page 33 of your packet. And that I will call up Van Hunsaker for public comment, and let me just share my message. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. A 30-second warning will be provided. Speakers should provide their name and city of residence. Those who attend public meetings are required to adhere to the council's rules of proceedings and observe the same standards of decorum as members of the council. Further, at the discretion of the presiding officer, members of the public who fail to observe these rules of procedure will be asked to discontinue speaking and will not be allowed to speak again for the remainder of the meeting. With that, we'll have the council president keep time, but thank you for being here, Van, and go ahead whenever you're ready.
Van Hunsaker, here from Philomath. You may recall that last spring I raised a concern about the budget and at the budget committee, and the mayor suggested or said we needed to bring that to or I should bring that to the council. And after I think some discussion, it was decided after the rate study was done. I don't know if you've actually adopted everything yet, but as far as, the rate study's done, and at least for the information that I'm discussing, it's kind of related, but not. I would like to start by saying that the Public Works staff do a good job already. They do some work similar to what I'm describing tonight. However, the problem is that it doesn't cover all the departments within the Public Works. You probably, the first two tables that you see there after page 4 or 5, those are the places that I noticed that anything with a zero, the city, the Public Works does not charge anything to those departments for those line items. And I feel like it's important for each of the departments within the Public Works to, to pay their fair share. as a caveat, on top of this, when you're talking about the water treatment plant coming up, in the next few months, I don't know sure where that's at right now, but this is one portion of what can be done that will help in terms of paying money to or the sewer and the water department, primarily also the streets, that they would be paying less for some of these line items, or the other budgets that have the zero there, they wouldn't be paying anything. That also includes in the capital, or not the capital improvements, but the equipment that you set aside money for. Right now, those departments it is only paid for by the water and sewer and the streets. There's a few things that, like probably the parks might be paying for a lawnmower or something like that, but the equipment that they may generally use isn't contributed to.
30 seconds?
30 seconds. I wanted to also say, I do support the policy, I think we adopted this, about setting aside funds for the infrastructure. Absolutely, that's the right way to go. The last thing I'd say is, I'd be happy to work with staff to accomplish this. I think we could have this, if the council approved of it, have it for the budget this spring. It's not, it wouldn't take a long time to do it, but I'd be happy to help with it. Anybody got questions?
Thank you very much. Any clarifying questions for Daniel? I guess I will just say thank you for all the work you did. This is a very well-written memo, so thank you. And I would love for staff to just sort of keep some of this in mind for the building budget. I think especially around the non-FTE costs, and just share those a little better. Any other thoughts?
I am curious as to doing all this work. It looks like a lot of time for the employees to break everything out. Is it going to change anything for the taxpayers? It feels like it won't change anything for the taxpayers, and that if we're just asking them to break everything up when everything's being accomplished and paid for, I'm not understanding the complete purpose of giving all the extra time. The financial director or each of the directors of their units to have to put down the percent of time that they use on each item seems like a lot of extra work.
I think, just for the sake of public comment, we probably shouldn't get into deliberations right now, but we could bring that back at a committee meeting or something too. I think the idea is just making sure that our accounting is accurate as far as funds paying for what they're using. So,
Could I address that?
just briefly, sure.
Well, as I said, I'd help do it in a couple of weeks, working with somebody like Chelsea or something like that, probably 5 or 6 hours of her time, maybe an hour or two of the Public Works Director. The thing that's going to help you, you're going to have $25,000 to $50,000 for water, and you're raising the rate so high that people are going to want to, well, they won't be happy. And we could have been doing this even 3 years ago. And, instead of 25, 50,000, you'd have 75, 150,000 more dollars in water. You would also have that in sewer. And so it's not a waste of time, Diane, at all. And like I say, pretty much it can be done with very minimal in staff time. The only thing Michael would have to do is make a few different line items and maybe even fix some out, based on whatever it is.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben.
A lot of work, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I don't believe we have anyone else signed up for public comment, and we don't have anyone online. So, next up is our consent agenda, which has our minutes from January 12th as well as January 26th.
I have one edit for the January 12th minutes. It's very minor.
Pages of the.
Page 5 of 749. Line 17. I think it would help if we put water treatment plant contractor bids are received. Because it's kind of not clear what the contractor bids are for. It took me a moment to remember.
Oh.
Not,
You know, which
not a
project
super
we're
big-
talking.
yeah, not a super big deal, but
Yeah, actually.
What line number?
17.
17,
Yep.
page 49.
Saying Mayor McMorrin proposed pausing further action until water
Water
treatment plant.
treatment plant contractor bids.
Do I need to make that as a motion or do we just consensus it?
That's consensus, I think.
Cool. Then on that note, I move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second?
Or-
All those- Well, I guess it's been moved by Councilor Andrade, seconded by Councilor Salsa. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The consent agenda is adopted as amended, which I could run. New business. We will start on page 55 with our appointment of our fiscal year 2026-2027 budget officer. And again, this is just to follow state law saying legally responsible for our budget. In this case, it's Mike as our finance director. So this isn't really us making a decision. It's just us telling the state that Mike is in charge of the money. With that, is there a motion? Okay, Councilor Nielsen.
Yeah, I move the city council appoint for finance director Mike Brzezinski to serve as the 2026-2027 budget officer under the supervision of our city.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilor Nielsen, seconded by Councilor Crocker to appoint Finance Director Mike Brzezinski as the 2026-2027 budget officer under the supervision of the city manager. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, would all those in favor please raise their hand and say aye? Aye. That passes unanimously. Congratulations, Mike, on a profound accomplishment in your career.
Stay.
I know, wow. I know, everything's been leading.
Very moved.
Yes. Okay.
More confident.
That brings us to Park Advisory Board appointments on page 57. As a reminder, we did not receive applications on our first round, so we reopened it. And we have 2 vacancies. We received 2 applications. The note here is just that the municipal code says that we can only fill 2 positions with people from outside the urban growth boundary. We already have 2 people who live outside the urban growth boundary, and Jacob Atkins also lives outside the urban growth boundary. So we would technically be overriding the municipal code if we wanted to appoint Jacob Atkins. I think, given that it's been difficult to fill the positions, it's not like we are turning someone away who lives within the urban growth boundary. I would be comfortable doing that, and maybe just.
I just have further information.
Yes, please.
I will note that Yasha,
Oh, yeah,
Dougal.
Dougal.
when Yasha was appointed, that was also a third
Oh,
out of urban growth boundary position. And then we just had a member that was outside that did not reapply.
okay,
So
I see.
now we have 2, but we did recently have 3. You know, it would be nice if we had more applicants who are in town. That's what the code was intended for. But like the mayor said, this is kind of the applicants that we have.
Yeah, in the absence of a line of,
Yes.
Yeah.
in,
Well, and I believe there's a provision in there that's like, you can still appoint, in the municipal code that
Right.
says like, you can still appoint someone.
And just in general, since the municipal code is determined by the city council.
Exactly.
City council can,
Change it.
yeah, the city charter is the thing we have to follow. But that, I hope Ashley's not listening.
Well, I move from the mayor's appointments to the Park Advisory Board is presented.
Okay, it's been moved by Counselor Salsa, seconded by Counselor Irwin to confirm the mayor's appointments to the Park Advisory Board as presented. Is there discussion?
Clarify, you are appointing both of them, correct?
Yes.
Okay, it's not explicitly in there.
Fair point.
Yes, I am appointing Jacob Atkins and Steve Olson to the Park Advisory Board.
Sounds good, thank you.
And both of those are for your term?
Yeah, are they the same term lengths?
Yes.
I think they are both new,
Great.
yes. Yep.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye? Aye. Jacob Atkins and Steve Olson are appointed to the Park Advisory Board unanimously. Thank you, Jacob and Steve, for your interest and volunteerism. Next up, we have the Inclusivity Ad Hoc Committee appointments. I do this similar to last time. We did appoint some folks at the last meeting, but there were still a few vacancies. We currently have 3 open seats. And we received 4 applications. As a note, and then I'll get to Councilor Andrade, this committee is somewhat unique in that anyone can participate. So it doesn't matter as much if they're appointed or not. They're still welcome to come to the meetings and engage in discussions. It's just for matters of quorum and public meetings and everything that we have members appointed. So yes.
Well, I was gonna say, I forgot to connect with you on this also, like, technically, we can have up to 9 committee members, but since you're no longer on it as a council member, do we only have 3 positions or do we have 4 positions available for community? And also, I think, it's as long as everyone who has applied is willing to make the majority, like consistently make those meetings, like that's all we ask, so that we can hold the meeting.
Do we have an
Otherwise they can come.
Yeah, thank you.
I'd have to look at the numbers. I'm not sure if the 4 was based off of your removing or dropping it down from 3 council members to 2 or.
Yeah, because it's Counselor Crocker, myself, Alba, Megan, and Jenna.
Okay, Chelsea.
I mean, based off of what Jessica and I had talked about, it does seem that that's where it's at. I do want to know, I think that my edited version of this staff report didn't get in here. But I want to note again that Jane Sherwood was unaware that the term was expired, so did not apply the first time.
By no fault of her own.
By no fault of her own.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, so just to note that for everyone.
Okay, so I just want to clarify. The staff is saying that we can appoint all 4 people.
So I think.
Okay, great.
And then, so right now it says 1 for 1 year and 2 for 2 years. So what's that other one now going to break into? Is it a 1 year or a 2
That's a
year?
good question.
You tell us, it could be whatever, because it was the mayor's spot. It didn't have a term.
Oh,
Yeah,
Then you could
okay.
flexible there.
yeah. Who's gonna fill in the names?
All right, I'll move that the city council, I'll move that the city council appoint Jen Amador and Amanda Polly to serve 1-year terms with the term expiring on December 31st, 2026 on the Inclusivity Ad Hoc Committee, and appoint Valerie Cam and Jane Sherwood to serve 2-year terms with the terms expiring on December 31st, 2027 on the Inclusivity Ad Hoc Committee. Okay. It's been moved by Mayor McMorrin, seconded by Councilor Andrade to appoint the named individuals to the listed terms. Is there any discussion on that motion? Okay. Seeing none, would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye? So all four have been appointed. Thank you for stepping up.
Well done.
Thank you, those who applied.
Yes, thank you. That brings us now to ordinances and resolutions. We have resolution 2604 declaring Black History Month, or Black History Month proclamation. We wanted to just clarify on this. I don't believe this had a chance to make it to the inclusivity committee, which is usually where it touches down before it comes to us. I think it just got left off of the agenda. We just didn't want to therefore leave it off of the council agenda too. So just to say, this hasn't gone through the traditional process through these kinds of proclamations, but given that this is the first meeting in February, we still wanted to hear it. I felt comfortable still putting it on the agenda because we've done this the last few years and it hasn't really had too many substantive changes at the committee level the last couple of years. I think I would have preferred it go through the committee and got input, but I would rather still adopt it than not. And we can just make sure that it gets on that committee agenda for next year.
Are there any changes from last year?
I don't believe so. I think
No,
it's,
this is from last year.
Was approved by the inclusivity.
yeah, since it just got copied and pasted. I think there was a robust discussion on it, but this is what came out of it.
I don't remember the specifics, but besides your wish to make things more consistent with the proclamations, did you want to, like, just as a reminder, was there anything that you to make
Oh,
more
you mean
consistent?
like in
Like the
Oh,
inclusivity
thank
committee,
you,
of
yeah,
like deleting and
Yes.
inclusivity committee.
we should probably do that. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'll move that we amend,
Just to be consistent with.
thank you, yeah, that we amend line 38 to strike and inclusivity committee.
Good catch, Jessica.
Is there a second on that? Second, okay. It's been moved by Mayor McMorrin, seconded by
Me.
Councilor Salsa, sorry, God, to strike and inclusivity committee from line 38, just because from now on, we want all resolutions to be only by the city council. And since this one didn't go to the inclusivity committee this year, I think it's especially appropriate for us not to.
No, I got it.
Any discussion on that motion? Okay, would all those in favor raise your hand and say aye? Aye. The motion is adopted. Any other discussion on this resolution? Okay. With that, I'll move that we adopt resolution 2604 as amended. It's been moved by Mayor McMorrin, seconded by Councilor Irwin, to adopt resolution 2604 as amended. Would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye?
Aye.
Aye. And resolution 2604 is adopted. Councilor Irwin, since you seconded the motion, would you like to read the proclamation?
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Black History Month proclamation. Whereas we honor Black history by acknowledging past injustices while seeking a more inclusive, equitable, and just path forward. And whereas the first of Oregon's exclusion laws, adopted in 1844, mandated that Black Oregonians would be publicly whipped every 6 months until they departed. And whereas the Oregon Constitution of 1857 prohibited Black Oregonians from owning real estate, making contracts, voting, or using the legal system. And whereas the Federal Donation Land Act of 1850 granted free land in Oregon exclusively to white settlers, creating a white landowning class that continues to hold great privilege and power in Oregon to this day. And whereas these and other racist laws and policies sent messages that Black Oregonians were not welcome. And whereas the foundation in racist policies continues to have implications for Black people who visit or reside in the state of Oregon. And whereas many Black people have made Oregon and the city of Philomath their home and have made significant contributions to the state and our community, including the donations of lands for Mount Union Cemetery by Mr. Reuben Shipley in 1861. And whereas Black people are valued and vital members of the Philomath community, and whereas the Philomath City Council is committed to creating a community where all who come here can feel safe and welcome. And whereas the Philomath City Council is committed to moving forward towards dismantling and transforming unjust and racist systems where they persist. Now therefore, be it resolved that we, the City Council of the City of Philomath, Oregon, hereby proclaim the month of February to be Black History Month in the City of Philomath, and be it further resolved that we reaffirm that racial discrimination, hatred, and white supremacy have no place in the City of Philomath or our government, and be it further resolved that we call on the people of our community to join us in learning about the history of Black people in Oregon and Philomath, and in combating racism wherever it is found.
Thank you very much. And welcome to Black History Month.
Yeah.
With that, we will move on to reports. Do we have council liaison reports? I know you just had a meeting.
I know, I'm excited. Liaison. So let me first mention the Philomath Community Services, Teresa Nielsen, and I are working on our annual March on Hunger food drive, which will be on March 7th and March 14th this year. We're looking for volunteers, and that's through PCS. We are working closely with them. Big support. This will be our second year, so we feel like we have an improved plan this year. So anyway, that's that one. Then I did my first fire board meeting today and was amazed. And I wrote down 4 or 5 pages of notes, but I won't read those all to you. But the one thing I brought up was that we had talked about having a emergency fuel center for emergencies. And I silly assumed the fire district would be the best place to have it, and they informed me no, it would not be, because they don't have enough land as it is with all the training, but also keeping it secure was an issue, and then making sure it's not sitting so long that it goes bad, especially the diesel, I guess. So they enlightened me on several things, and so they came up with the SPRE grant suggested through the OEM, and I looked that up. I think it's due before June, and they suggested a couple of things. One would be a trailer, so it's portable, with dual tank gas and diesel. That doesn't take care of the problem that it might be sitting too long. They also suggested making an agreement with one of the area gas stations, and that they would need, maybe our contribution to that agreement would be a generator, because if the power's out, they can't pump the gas or the diesel. But if we could somehow make that agreement, and that would give us emergency access to fresh diesel and gasoline. So anyway, there was that. And then they also suggested that our charter says the city council has to declare evacuation, and that no one could call an evacuation of our area without the city council voting on it.
I think this is the county commission, maybe.
No, this is what they told me.
Okay.
And so they suggested we might authorize the police chief to be able to declare evacuation in an emergency need. I'm just-
Granted the power to do, that would work. City council would grant the power.
I didn't know we had that power. You can look into that, that's interesting.
The chief mentioned that to me, that he doesn't have the power to do that.
Right, okay.
And it was a wild land by getting us together to vote.
They get to City Hall
Might
now.
take too much time, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, those were things I learned among many other things, so.
Awesome. Thank you. Robust report. I feel ashamed for all of my slim little reports that I brought from the fire district. No. Councilor Andrade, you have anything?
No. Oh, I guess, did Chris, I unfortunately didn't get to respond to April's email with the Hope Advisory Board, but we submitted a letter that some Crystal wrote or Chelsea wrote.
Yeah, I submitted that on behalf of
Thank you for doing that.
Mayor McMorrin. Thank you for helping with that. the other day.
Thank
I
you.
worked very hard. I see an image of my signature.
Yeah. Did get that done, then said they would submit it with the testimony.
And if you could remind me of what it was so that the council knows as well.
Oh, yes, it was in support, I believe, of just their general efforts in Benton County.
Oh, yeah, to be like the hub, right? Houseless.
Yes, yes. And they were going to be testifying for the Ways and Means Committee, I believe. And we were a little delayed because we didn't get the email until they'd already testified the night before, but they did say that they could submit the letter with their official testimony after the fact, so.
Yes, thank you so much for doing that.
Yes.
Wonderful. Councilor Salsa, anything?
Nothing in particular. A lot of the transportation stuff, Campo and the rest of that's just starting to ramp up for the year's meetings here that are coming up this week.
Okay.
I will be finishing up actually the Transportation Safety Action Plan project for the county is our last meeting this week, and then that'll transition over to the Philomath side shortly, which is good. And then there's been a lot of progress there. Again, the contractor has been just amazing to work with. They did a stellar job of just keeping things moving along and just very, they did a good job of that.
And is that the same contract we use?
Yeah.
Multiple?
DKS,
Okay.
John Fosk.
Great.
So I did take a little liberty in inviting Rich to represent the city and the city council as a representative on the task force for the city one. So just his experience that he's been doing, but if maybe now's as good a time as any to get consensus from the council for him to represent. So we've reached out to join that task force, which only meets like 4 or 5 times, and they're reviewing documents, make sure everything looks okay. It's more of a review board. But we've got, we'll have fire, county, ODOT, Rich representing kind of the city council, all that. The city council will see those documents before they get approved. So the task force just kind of working and looking the schedule and kind of running point on some of that stuff. So if everybody's good with Rich doing that, I'll take his consensus and we'll go ahead and have that. Our first task force meeting will probably be in March as well.
Okay. Does that sound good to everyone?
As long as Rich wants to.
That sounds good to you, Rich?
We responded to the email.
Yeah. Was that in the minutes?
Didn't want to sign him up.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Very welcome.
We have 2 reports. I guess first one would be the Frolic Board meeting. To promote further the Timbertown theme of our city, this year's Frolic will include, they're adding an old-time timber truck display. They're bringing in some trucks and some display vehicles from Miller. So they'll have that as part of Frolic this year, a little bit different. This update is just about ready to be presented to the city. They have a new attorney this year, so that's what's taking a little bit longer. Thanks to our Philomath News and or was it the city? I remember it was a newsletter or our Philomath News that was broadcasting the piece of the 14th and Main development.
Oh, yeah.
They wanted to let the council know that they are hopeful and encouraging us to look for a hotel type of situation for the upper floors rather than a housing situation. Because they were talking about every, just for one instance, they said every year they have competitors and people come for the events that they book 25 to 30 rooms in Corvallis because there are not hotels available in Philomath. And they were thinking if we had a hotel available there within walking distance of the Frolic, they would have, it would be well utilized during the Frolic weekend. So they were really asking that we consider that hotel option. And then for one final thing for the Frolic is they were hoping for a firework contribution from the city.
Yes.
Um, Yeah, so they're still hoping, for that and they wanted to bring that to our attention.
Yes.
Absolutely.
This watching this. She's another person on the list of people I owe things to, so I'm sorry. I was speaking with Alyssa about the fireworks, and I don't remember exactly what the conversation was. I had mentioned that the city has funds for community events, but then after the fact, I was talking about it with Chris and remembered that the council's intent for those funds was more to like fund sort of new events or sort of startup events. So I have not followed up with her yet just because I wasn't sure exactly what to say. So I guess I wanted to check with you all on that, just see if we wanted to offer up any city support for that or not. I think I support the original intent of new events. On the other hand, no one else has requested the funds.
Sorry, this is
We don't
for
have a program.
the fireworks, did you say?
Yes. So just wanted to.
But there was some conversation about moving the fireworks more to the 4th instead of at the.
Back from the Frolic, because they can't move it on the 4th this year because the contractor that they use is booked on the 4th already.
That makes sense.
Okay, got it. Because I was gonna say, that would be kind of, it would be new.
Well, that's.
I was ready to fly one in on that.
Yeah.
Kind of wanna.
No, that's fair.
So I'll note that part of the reason why no one has requested those funds is because like we don't have anything written up, like a policy in place, and therefore we have not really advertised it. Although I do believe technically Philomath Pride may have technically kind of gotten some of those funds, like when we requested for some help, but again, a policy hadn't been drawn up. I am also in favor of keeping it at that. And I think considering all of the other more essential needs that we have and that money could go towards, I would much rather use that money for, helping people as opposed to fireworks. Like fireworks are fine and dandy, but I think that's what fundraisers are for. But that's my personal take.
Okay, so should I follow up with Alyssa and say that we're reserving those for new events or?
Let me just say one more insight from the meeting regarding them. The trees that have now grown where the fireworks are taking place, the location where they are, again, shut off from, launched, because of the trees and the placement of everything, less people at the Frolic are seeing them and more people outside of the Frolic are seeing them because of the location. And apparently that's the only, Chris would know more than I, but that's the only location that is verifiable for them to be launched from. And if that's the case, they were saying if our Frolic participants aren't seeing them and it's a city thing, then a contribution seemed appropriate. So that was just a notification from them and their opinions and that meeting that I attended.
Yeah, and I haven't had any discussions with anybody at the Frolic on that, but I've done some mapping when I was on the Frolic board. There's a few other locations they could launch them from on the site that would meet the qualifications. It's just not been looked at. We only just started looking at that when we were looking at moving some of the parking to Marys River Park during the event, which would eliminate the ability to launch fireworks from that spot because we'd be parking vehicles there. So we did start looking at other locations on the grounds where they could be launched from safely. We just never got any further, and then I came off the board, and we've not had discussions. So I think we could have some more discussions with the Frolic about other locations to launch them from. There's different heights that you can purchase and
Right.
different requirements of setbacks depending on how high they go. And so I think there's some more options they can explore. I don't know how much of that they've, since I left, I don't know.
I guess I am just, in general, I think, I am also in favor of preserving the original intent and maybe it's kind of a big unless, but it seems like, there isn't, it's not like we have a place where everybody comes down and sets up to watch the fireworks right now, right? Like it's not, we're not like engaging in a co-use or you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, anecdotally, whether you could see it better from different angles doesn't quite convince me. I would be more inclined to contribute if there were, was some sort of a like city, like a co-watching event. And so,
Right.
maybe that is a new event, but like I don't know, a firework party or something.
I will just add to the discussion. When I first came to the city of Philomath was a sponsor of the Frolic and Rodeo, and I think we were like a $5,000 a year sponsor. So the city gave $5,000 a year to the Frolic to use for whatever purpose they wanted to, and they kind of earmarked it towards the fireworks. But it really just went to the kitty, and then they had all these expenses, and fireworks was one of them. And about 3 or 4 years into it, into my time here, the council decided to not be a sponsor any longer and to look at other ways that they could support the Frolic. But financially, they didn't, just because I think financially the budget got tight, and that was one of the things that they looked at being able to cut in that city council fund. We didn't call it that at that time, but that city council fund, that was just one of the items. They're like, oh, let's cut that out and save a little bit of money. And so they stopped sponsoring it. The Frolic did go out, and I think that's the time they picked up Lyrica as a new sponsor, and they started sponsoring the fireworks at $4,000 or $5,000 a year. And so it was kind of like it kept going. I'm going to have a little bit of inside baseball there, just knowing the history. But for a long time, the city of Philomath was a sponsor, and we got free tickets. The city council got some free tickets to go to the rodeo. We were, publicized as a sponsor, like all of their other $5,000 a year sponsors were treated. And so we were just a full-on sponsor, like one of their private or corporate sponsors would be. And so there's some benefits that come from being a sponsor, and the city used to get those, and we don't get those anymore because we're not a quote-unquote sponsor. We support them with the parade, we support them with some security. I mean, there's other things obviously that we do to support the Frolic, but we don't necessarily support them financially like we did at one point. We do, on that note, we do have the transient lodging tax fund that we do contribute, and the Frolic has been awarded that every year since we started that program, I think 4 years ago. So for 4 years now, they have received transient lodging tax dollars. And those dollars, they have to kind of do a write-up of what they're going to be intended for. But next year, that could be fireworks, and the city council could consider that as a, request to use for tourism dollars.
Pretty touristy.
Yeah.
Come to see the fireworks.
Okay, just
Off the.
One more thing. Chamber luncheon, well attended in January. Thank you, Mayor Warren, for doing that. He did a great job, stated the city address, and it was so well attended. I don't think there was an empty seat in the entire place. So that was really good to see. Sometimes it's not as much, but that was very well attended. So thank you for that, and represented our city very well. And that's it for me.
thank you very much.
You got something on chamber?
Just before that,
Yes.
really, I'm getting sort of a consensus that we don't want to move forward with any additional Frolic funding. I just want to make sure we're buttoning that up. Am I hearing that correctly?
That's my opinion, at least in the short term.
Okay, I'm not hearing anyone screaming opposition, so we'll
I
go with that.
mean, we're also going to be discussing the MOU at some point, and so
That's true.
if that is something that the council wants at some point and thinks it's beneficial, then
Sure.
that would be potentially something to talk about in there, but.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we got our marching orders there, so. Chamber.
Oh, I was just going to remind everyone that if you are wanting to go to chamber luncheons as your city representation, to please email Crystal. We're having issues with some people signing up for chamber, not getting paid. We don't get notified to pay for you unless we sign you up. So just be aware of that. If you want to go, just let Crystal know. And you can even, if you know you want to go 2 months in advance, let us know. We'll get you signed up and paid for. We're trying to be good partners with the chamber's new system, so.
And pay for your lunch, so.
And pay for your lunch, yes, yes. So just a reminder.
Okay, wonderful. For mine, I don't have a ton, but I don't remember what I shared last month, so if I'm repeating myself, someone just tell me to be quiet. All right, that means anything. I'm now on the executive board of the COG because the mayor Corvallis had to step off and they needed someone from Benton County. At our last meeting, the COG approved sort of the creation of the board approved the creation of like a sort of legal defense fund for any member governments who are, I'm trying to pick my words carefully, who are engaged in litigation with the federal government. This unsurprisingly came at the request of Mayor Kaplan of Newport, where the city of Newport and Mayor Kaplan had been getting a lot of requests from people who wanted to support or companies or other local governments and sort of where should that money go. And I guess there's something with the city of Newport's financial system where it was hard for them to accept that, and they thought it might make more sense as like a regional thing too, where if another city finds himself in the same place, they could tap into a pool of money. So I did talk to Mayor Kaplan last weekend, and I get the sense that maybe it's run into some snags since the board approved it, just with some legal and financial stuff. So I don't think it's up and running just yet, but they're working on it. So just keep that in mind. And then the school district, I don't actually have a lot of updates for, so that's my bad. I'll get back to you on that. And then Philomath 2050, we had a great kickoff, and that's moving forward. I feel like I'm some other liaison too, but public art committee's happening. We had a good meeting, and where you
Yes.
put out the call for artists.
That's out right now. If you know anyone who does sculpture,
Yeah.
go to the city's website.
Do you have the program like typed out or like?
We don't. This was the
Okay.
priority.
Okay.
And because it's temporary,
Yeah.
we thought that we
Gotcha.
could move forward with it without.
I was just
in place.
curious. So I was like,
Yes,
seen the
Yes. Yeah.
yes. We do have a draft in one of the packets.
Oh, nice. Good job.
Unfortunately, the Philomath Community Foundation meets at 5:30 on almost every city count on Mondays. And so when we have a work session, I can't make it. Which is, I mean, it's okay, although I feel a little like I've abandoned them now. I do know, I read the email and get the minutes, and they just have their retreat.
Okay.
So that I mean, it's kind of the same stuff. They're working on new members and, maybe getting a little younger and like that, and they had a lot of scholarships this time, and they've taken on some new funds, and I can't remember all the specifics, but I remember feeling like it was pretty progressive, like, they're doing a new thing almost. Or two, I would say, which felt pretty cool, even if it's like a smaller fund that would stay out of, they started doing a small fund from Burntwood School District or something, there was some kind, they had a scholarship out there, and in Burntwoods, there's like 3 people that have to decide the scholarship, and they know every other person, and so it was really a good fit for that. You know, it made
Yeah.
sense. It was like pretty, yeah, it was cool.
Great.
Yep, it's helpful, very helpful.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Anything else? Okay.
I forgot about Samaritan Awards. Please remember about those, February 20th, 6 o'clock. They're going to be great at the Philomath Scout Lodge. Sorry.
And Crystal, I did submit mine. That's one of the things I did actually do. So,
What do we submit?
what?
What to submit?
Oh, the nomination. Because I had, we all
Back
like,
in
yeah.
December?
Yeah. I just,
Mine too.
yeah, I was, Crystal, yeah, anyway, they got in. Received, I got a confirmation, we're all good. So, anyway, thank you very much for that. With that, should we move along to the management report?
Yes,
Anything
please.
you want to highlight for us?
My highlight's gonna be that Chelsea Starner is a heck of a city manager. I appreciate her taking the head while I was.
From myself.
So, no, I appreciate staff stepping in on my absence from City Hall for a week and a half, weeks, and especially when they were themselves were not feeling great and a little down and out. So anyway, no, great report. We've touched on several of these already in your report, so that's kind of nice, some overlap. I will just note some of the bullet points in the police. That is in direct result of having some additional funding this year for some additional training. So that's very, very good stuff, especially Sergeant Thurman being able to get some additional child abuse training that will pay dividends down the road. And on the public works side, water treatment plant bid documents are back and forth between engineer, Service Oregon. I hate to sound like the broken record. Originally, if you recall, we were told end of February that they would be ready, and then we got a little excited middle of January that it was going to be earlier and floated some dates, and it's just taken that much longer to get there. So we're probably still looking at like expect end of February. If it comes before that, then that's bonus. That gets into a little bit of conflict with getting our budget out. We're in a little bit of a timetable we need to talk through, and the mayor and I can do that offline. But if the RP doesn't go out till the end of February, and it's a 6 to 8 weeks to response, that's end of March, end of April. We're not going to have time to get a response back before we know dollars, before we can start building the budget, before the city council, the budget committee can start reviewing the budget that the staff's created. So I think what we're going to probably have to do is just get an updated cost estimate from the engineer, bring that back to the council at the second meeting this month, their first part of March. And I think we'll just have to make a decision on a first cost increase because we've already talked, I think, in pretty good unison that we want to spread this out over multiple increases. So I think what we'll look at is what's the first increase going to look like? How much is that going to be? And then that second or third increase may vary depending on what the actual cost ends up being, but we know the cost will be up. So I think we're going to need to make a decision sooner rather than later, as in before we get an actual bid. The city council is going to have to make some decisions on how much we intend at least this year's increases to be so that we can give our finance director some input on what to anticipate for the budget that he's creating right now. So anyway, we'll talk about that a little bit more. I just don't want to keep it out there that we're not going to make any decisions on utility rates until after we get that, because at this point, we may not get that until it's way too far into the budget season for us to make the decisions. Had we released the RP 3 or 4 weeks ago, we'd probably be in good shape time frame wise, but at this point, I don't think we're going to be more prudent to make his best decision on the information we're going to have.
Can you remind me why the documents go to Business Oregon? Does it have to do with financing or is it?
It's the money that we got from the ARPA funds that we got from the federal government went to the state through Business Oregon, so they're the ones that are actually processing the funds. And there's some specific language that has to be there, and it's one of their requirements is that they've reviewed all of the RFP documents before they're released.
Okay.
So they're checking to make sure all the correct language and coverage is in there. There were some provisions tied to any federal funding that came that was more than $10 million. Had some additional provisions that had to be in there as well, so we're under that additional lens.
I have just real quick, did they smooth out 14th and Main? Do you know? I know you had said that it was a little rougher than you know.
It's, Public Works actually went in there, knocked out some of the asphalt and put in some more rock there. Gonna be cheaper and more cost effective, just have Public Works to knock that out and to bring the consultant back and have them charge us by the hour. On the material. And the last thing I'll add that's not on here is I did get an update from Mill Pond Crossing today. We tried to touch base last week, but that was on me. Financing's getting lined up. I don't want to ever overpromise, but financing seems to be lined up. I've requested that the developer outline kind of a rough timeline for the spring of when things in phase 2 will be completed, when submittals will be done for phase 3, when the county's going to get their required applications for the road work and the storm pipes that need to be done on Chapel Drive. And so Levi Miller said that he would work on putting that time frame together and sending that to Public Works, myself, and the county. So we've got an idea what the time frame is in his mind, at least, again, subject to funding and future changes, but at least that gives us an idea of a starting point. But he feels very optimistic, got some new funding that's come his way, and he's just trying to get all that lined up, and he's going to give it a go this spring. So hopefully through spring and summer, we'll have some more buildable lots in town that he can start putting some homes on. So and I'll report that we got our first 2, right, Crystal? 2
Yeah.
lot line adjustments. Our first 2 lot line adjustments on 16th Street are done and recorded. So
Yay.
appreciate Laura and
Something happened.
helping on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, first 2 are done. The others are in line and getting scheduled, and we're kind of moving them through the process. And to be very transparent, I committed from the city that we would be more proactive on making that happen. We've done that by assigning Laura to do that, so we're paying her by the hour for the time that she's doing it. We've also made some advance payments for 2 of the properties, or the properties that have lost money when their lot line gets adjusted. We're guaranteed they'd have compensation at $27 a square foot. And so the city's prepaid some of those, and we'll be getting money back from the developer, kind of a total check once all of those calculations have been made. So we've extended staff time, and we've also extended some funding to property owners to make sure those happen. We're not waiting for the developer to kind of nickel and dime us through the process. We're just getting those paid, getting them done, and we'll kind of have a final bill for the developer to get us paid. Had that conversation with Levi again today, and he gave assurances like, yep, nope, I understand, 100% committed. It's getting funding lined up so those payments can be made. So we're extending ourselves a little bit, but I felt like we'd made as a city to get those property owners whole, get them taken care of. So we're taking care of that.
I just curious, the culvert project in City Park, is that over the stream? Is that?
Yeah, so it's a kind of a cool project. Mary's River Watershed approached me a year and a half ago and had interest in improving the stream and fish habitat through City Park. As you know, right now, there's it's a 12 or an 18-inch culvert there on both sides and the big dip. And they are designed so when the water level flows, that it flows over that. Of course, then we have to shut the gates and not allow people back on that side of the park. But it does allow for the fish passage to go through when the water levels rise. But it's not a great system, right? And so they've reached out and actually have some NOAA funding to replace that culvert with 2 new bridges. So we'll have new bridges on either side. It looks like it's still going to be like next year, not this summer, but like next summer. So they'll be a part of the time when the park will be closed and off limits because of all the construction that's happening there. Maybe able to do some partial closures, keep the pavilion stuff. We're not sure on the exact details yet, but it's all grant. The city's not really out anything. There's a little bit of my time, Public Works time, some coordinating stuff, but it's a really exciting project. We had a coordinating meeting just earlier and kind of sketched out a timetable and when applications and all that's due, but sounds like the funding's pretty much in hand. Like, yep, we're approved. This project's a go. So right now it's in the engineering, kind of preliminary engineering phase. They're looking at where our new equipment's going in, making sure they're avoiding that, trying to line up where everything would go. So very early preliminary engineering phase at this point, but we're probably looking construction of summer of 2027.
That's awesome. I just, quick question. So does that mean, just clarifying, it will be like, I guess, drivable, like it'll be accessible, there, you won't have to, that's
The
awesome.
dip will be gone.
Yeah, get rid of the dip.
And it won't be impassable.
Yeah, be able to get a truck and trailer, an RV,
Fire engine.
little passenger van. Yeah, fire truck, yeah.
I just want to say, I was out on a drive today looking at things, and the 4 or 5 plexes on the corner of 19th and Chapel. Wow, about a month ago, I think there were just foundations, and now 2 of them look to be almost done. A third one's in progress. That was
Yeah, that'll be
fast.
20 housing units. So 4 or 5 plexes. You say I love
I
Bath?
love math.
Well. Okay. Any questions on the monthly financial report?
No.
Thank you to Budget Officer, my unanimous Budget Officer. Okay, with that, should we take another quick, like, 5-minute break and then we can finish our?
One little really little bit. March the 14th, Saturday, March the 14th, is a good time to get your CPR certification done because it's Heart Month. So, but put that down. You just go on the Philomath Fire and Rescue's site and register yourself. It's a fabulous class. It's an all-day class. It's first aid and CPR. You're certified for 2 years.
Down,
It's right there at the fire station. Yep.
After the food drive?
No, it's all day.
With that,
After the food drive?
is it after the visit? No.
The food drive's at 9 o'clock that morning,
Oh, gotcha.
but yeah, so no, you start probably the same time.
Let me start with- Sorry. Oh, and when's the next coffee with?
It's the 3rd Saturday.
First, and I can't be there, and I think I signed up. I can't do it.
So, yeah, 21st.
Be out of town too, so. I'll have to look. It's on the sign-up's on
It's, I think, it's a.
Drive.
I can-
Yeah. Yeah, that way. Okay, that was good.
Yes, because Planning Commission's going to meet for the first time in like 5 months. They're going to meet next Tuesday. Monday's a holiday, so they'll meet on Tuesday night and basically just get an update. They need to get a new chair because they've got new membership. It's the first of the year. So we've had a little bit of a hiatus, but we'll be having a quick meeting on Tuesday. And I only know that because it's a Tuesday, not a Monday, so I just don't come Monday. You show up Monday, I've warned you. Don't come.
Okay, any final thoughts? All right, then I will adjourn the regular meeting and we'll take a 5-minute break and return to finish our work session at 8:17. I feel like it's about to turn to 12. So, adjourned.